Hi guys, welcome. I guess this is me, the streamer, yet again, coming back at you live with the sixth episode. I think it's the sixth episode. I can count. I can count, yeah. I learned it in elementary school. Talking about elementary school, we've got some very great guests today. First of all, I'd like to introduce to you the wonderful and very handsome LazyData. Say hello.
I'm Lazy. Most of you know
I
me
know you
as
are.
the cheater who doesn't actually cheat, and every day is my birthday.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday, Lazy. Nice to have you here. Our second guest is Bflattened. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Bflattened. If you don't know who I am, I like Borderlands and I play it way too much. That's about all I got.
Yo,
Wait,
Okay,
Borderlands in our stream? No.
yeah,
not
No,
allowed,
no.
banned.
I'm not gonna start with Borderlands. So since you pick up on this subject, Lazy, like for those who don't know, Lazy's whole stream and theme for him is like his birthday. He have a birthday cake for sub badges and so on. So tell me, where did that birthday craze come from?
It started somewhere. I don't really know, but it only kicked off till one time I was in Killer Six's stream, and somebody wished me a happy birthday. Six saw that, wished me a happy birthday, tweeted it out, and then by the end of that day, I had more people wishing me happy birthday than on my actual birthday, including Gearbox's community manager and 2K's head of influencers. Both of those
Oh
people wished me happy
no.
birthday. We were one step away from Randy himself.
Oh my god.
And it just kind of went from there every day.
That's amazing.
I see. Okay, so now the question for Bflattened. What keeps you inspired to continue playing Borderlands after all this time? Say, you're a Borderlands player, so why you keep playing? Because some people drop out and you're still here with us.
uh, so I've been playing for probably about 11 years now, back in Borderlands 1. Pre-ordered the game every single time. Um, I probably lost down around 25,000 hours, and the way that I continue is it's not necessarily the game that's new, it's how you approach it that makes it new. So, you can run into, say, a class mod that's on the ground. How can I build around that to make it fun? How do I, make something new with this? Um, Rather than doing the same old stuff the entire time. And of course, you're going to get burned out with that. So, making the game new is how I do it.
Oh, amazing. That's much of commitment. You said how much hours?
That's a lot of hours.
25,000?
I lost count at 25,000 hours.
What
That's a lot of hours.
That's like a lot of hours, boy. That's just like, whew,
It's
that's some commitment.
calculated to be about 3.5 years, and that's when
And
I lost count.
I became admin here with just about shortly of 600 hours in Borderlands 2. Like now I'm a scam, but like, whew, that's like you've got a lot of hours on your belt. I respect that. Okay, guys. Question to both of you. Like, now we're gonna be like, I go a bit more into the game. This question is, which is your guys' favorite skill tree and why?
Ooh.
And you can pick any skill tree. It's not limited to 3. So if you think Timothy's great, you can pick him. But yeah.
Personally, I really like a lot of Lilith's skill trees in Borderlands 1. They had a lot of good skills. You had actual shield regen skills that made a difference. I really liked some of her melee skills. I played a lot of melee Lilith. So both of Lilith's fire melee tree, which is the right hand side, the red one, forgot the name of it, and her left hand side one, which was the more shield and daze skill trees. And then Wilhelm's, just in general, just the augmenting of Wilhelm, where you get the robotic legs, the robotic punching arm, his voice gets more robotic over time. I love that idea with the skill trees. So that was my favorite.
Yeah, what about you, Flattened?
Well, Lazy took actually both of my answers.
Oh damn.
Great
I
minds.
chose Lilith from Borderlands 1 because I've always backed that Lilith is pretty much all 4 Vault Hunters in one. She has melee like Brick, she has sniper with the class mods like Mordecai. Um, she has a class mod that also gives you ammo regen, which was Roland's gimmick, and she also has her invincibility. So she is 4 Vault Hunters in one. And I also agree with Wilhelm because I really like pet builds. And Wilhelm, to me, I believe was the first true pet build that we got. All other pet builds prior to, before Borderlands 3 came out, were kind of shaky. You know, you had Mordecai with his Bloodwing. You had to stare at an enemy in order for Bloodwing to hit, and then you had to wait for Bloodwing to return to you in order to get health back. Pet builds before Wilhelm were kind of shaky, and Wolf and Saint kind of made up for that. So, those are my two.
And that's kind of surprising that you two actually picked the same tree. Like, Wilhelm aside, Lilith has been named a lot at this point as like favorite character design. And to think that this character just came from one where like Borderlands was still in its infant steps, it's kind of amazing to see how far they've come and haven't really been able to recreate the Lilith magic in another title. And moving on from that, I was wondering though, in Borderlands 3, do you still like how the skill trees are designed? And like if we look at previous games and everything, do you think they like made it better? Do you think they made it worse? Is there anything that you would like to see more of?
So that's a difficult one, because the problem with Borderlands 3 is the skill trees aren't inherently badly designed for the most part. It's just that there's lots of outside mechanics shaking them up, like mayhem scaling and stuff. So take Amara's blue tree. That's got a lot of really cool things going on, lots of different ideas thrown in there, and that's really good. But then right next to it, you've got Amara's green, which just kind of doesn't really connect together. So they landed some, and they also missed with some.
With the skill trees, they're not inherently bad. I think that their descriptions are just a little lackluster. Like they're not very descriptive. My example is Amara's what is that skill called now? I totally forgot. The closer you are, you do more damage in the green tree.
Personal space.
Tier 1 skill. Personal space.
Yeah.
Personal space isn't very descriptive because it says the closer you are to the enemy, the more damage you do, but it's like except for the Facepuncher.
Well, it
So
just doesn't apply to that thing at all.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to want to do that for some reason. And there's many other examples, but that's the first one that comes to my mind.
That's a damage type issue, by the way. That's just...
It's the whole melee and actual gun damage and stuff like that. There's a separation with that, but it just says bonus damage.
It says 2 guns, but that's just Facepuncher being Facepuncher.
Well, if we talk about Amara, oh sorry, continue. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, it's okay. Okay.
If we talk about Amara here, I have a question for you, Lazy. How do you feel about her current state in the game, specifically the skill tree design and her mechanics? Like current meta, how do you think she's in the game?
Overall, I like Amara's just overall power and time to kill. I actually think the other characters are too strong, and Amara's overall level is actually feels pretty good. It's just kind of in awkward places, as I said before, of the mayhem scaling. I think if the mayhem scaling was taken from Remnant Ties and Indiscriminate and just kind of spread across her trees a bit more evenly, she'd be in a much better spot. But in overall power, I think she's fine. She's got 2 trees that is clearly dedicated towards more action skills and melee, and 2 that are more oriented towards guns. I wish there was a bit more blurring towards them to enable more hybrid builds, since that's something that they tried to kind of do with, say, Jab Cross or Personal Space. I think some more emphasis on those hybrid skills would be pretty good as well. But yeah, in general, again, hits in some marks, misses in many other marks.
I see. Okay, so another question for Bflattened. What is your, because you made some of the builds, some very fun builds. Tell me, which is your favorite character to create builds for, like from total zero, from 0 to like the ready creation? Which is the most fun to create builds for?
That's really, really tough because a build switches every other week for me. I want to say
currently, maybe.
Currently, I want to say, oh man, it's a toss up between Zane and Flak because Flak has so many class mod options, and I think that there's more class mod options than most Vault Hunters right now. But then there's always the Zane train that's going on right now because Zane is ridiculous at the moment. It makes me happy that there isn't just a lock to scene dead, because we were locked in that class mod for a very long period of time, and at least it opens up the door to like the spy comm, the hustler comm, and making builds around that and making some guns work around that is pretty fun as well. Big toss up between Zane and Flak though.
So this was originally made to be a question for Lazy, but I think this is a question I can actually ask both of you easily. Which is, what are some aspects aside from general gameplay gunplay improvements that you think that BL3 did better than BL2, like that were an absolute upgrade?
Well, to me, that's immediately just the gunplay, the movement, the general gameplay. Just moving around in the game, the mantling, the sliding, the way the guns feel much heavier, much more deliberate in this game. All of that was just far better, and it does make playing BL2 quite difficult. Again, yeah, the sound design is pretty good as well. I like how different parts in the guns make the guns sound different. I've picked up so many different skull mashers that all sound wildly different, just because of different muzzles and stuff on them. So just general purpose stuff like that was just done better in BL3. And it's a smaller thing, but I've recently turned on the volumetric fog setting in the graphic settings. It looks really nice. I really like it. So just looks better, sounds better, plays better. The content, different story, but just the baseline, much stronger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally also a big fan of the radiation kill sound when it just like that's like the Geiger counter sound, and the bigger the radiation, the louder it gets, and it's like really big explosion. It's like it just crackles all the way. It's goosebumps. Anyways, Flattened, what do you think?
Besides, okay, this one's tough, but
Mm.
I think mine would first go to, and I know this was excluded, but I need to mention it. Quality of life upgrades. A lot of the mods that were in Borderlands 2 were just vanilla aspects in Borderlands 3. Things like auto picking up things, buying all ammo in one, mantling, sliding, basic stuff. Those were all modded stuff in Borderlands 2 that were vanilla Borderlands 3. Sound design that was mentioned. I really like the soundtracks of pretty much every planet, every single event and location. Namely, the Captain Haunt theme was probably my favorite. It really throws you into that battlefield a little bit more. Gun sounds absolutely amazing. You mentioned Drumpy, the radiation explosions. That was great. The return for Cryo from the pre-sequel and how that was designed. Really enjoy that as well. Um, and finally, every single Borderlands game was ahead of its time when it released. Borderlands 3 kind of did that as well with like the cell shading and graphics and stuff like that. So I really like where it's at right now with that.
I see. Okay, I have another question for you both. Since we are currently waiting for a new DLC coming over, so tell me, if you were had opportunity to produce a next major update or DLC for BL3, either like a huge hotfix or an actual like whole DLC, what would you make it? Like, what would you want to add? What do you want to see there most?
Personally, I'd like to see more just playable content, whether that be Proving Grounds, which I like a lot, Circle of Slaughters, Raid Bosses, Takedowns, anything like that. If I could just buy a pack of 5 bosses for about tenner, easy pickup. So I'd go in that direction, and of course, any bug fixes that I could.
Nice. And you?
I've discussed with my community a bunch of times about what we wanted to see, and this was leading up to Christmas. We were talking about a return to Gingerton 2, because I believe that in Borderlands 2, the Snowman Headhunter was probably one of the most played of Headhunters. Being able to redesign that in the Borderlands 3 world, I think would be amazing. You could have Genevieve as Grinchavive, you could have Trontaclaus, you could have the return of, what's his name, Timmy? He can be a true challenge boss. Say maybe Gingerton corrupted him over the years. You can return the Snowman. Um, You can have Christmas themed weapons, so Grinjaviv could drop the reflux, but it would be candy cane skinned, and the chains would actually be candy canes themselves. There's just a ton of different options that you can do with that. For like a headhunter, $5-10, I think that would actually go a long way.
I see. Okay, since you mentioned that you talk a lot with the community about this stuff, I mean, you both are content creators with huge communities around you who are like following you and are enjoying the game with you together. But I want to ask you guys, who inspired you to become a streamer? Who was like your the the role model for streaming? Who like inspired you to do it? You both.
Initially, for me, that was Admiral Baru, way back in 2013-ish. He hosted the One Life to Live event, and I had just gotten my PC, and so I installed OBS and went live with One Life to Live. It was 4:3, 300 bitrate, all the drop frames. Rabbit remembers it. It was terrible quality, but I had a lot of fun with it, and that's where I started, and because of Admiral Baru.
To try to make it as short as possible, I would probably say a combination of Jolt Dude and Killer 6. Back before I was a content creator, they were the people that I was watching the most during the Borderlands 2 days. And then being able to do like community events with them, i.e. the hunt, I felt like it was a great way to involve myself a little bit more. So initially, I would say Joel Steed and Killer 6 is where my inspirations drew from.
Great. And honestly, I want to go like a little bit further back. Like now that we know how you guys started streaming, I would like to know what was your guys' first video game, at least the first video game that you can remember.
So I'd have been about 4 or 5 years old, and my dad comes home with an Xbox.
Aw.
He'd moved into his own place, so he could finally get one. So he immediately got one as soon as he could, and it was Midnight Club 2. And we had this giant, the original Duke Xbox controller, like bigger than me at the time. I could barely reach the buttons. Picked it up, drove in a straight line, hit a wall, blew up. And that was the first time I played a video game.
So this is probably showing my age a little bit here, but I was 6 years old. My uncle gave me a Nintendo 64 for my birthday.
Wow.
Couple games that I was having, and probably my first and my favorite was probably Banjo-Kazooie, which
Nice.
was not appropriate for a 6-year-old, but we played it anyways.
I mean, it's still a very good game. Like
Mhm.
Banjo-Kazooie is still right about today, and hey, he even got in Smash, so has to be something good
Yeah.
about this one, right?
You have no idea how happy I was to see him in Smash.
Oh yeah, man, like Smash is wild nowadays with the characters. Like when Steve came out, wow, I was like, I at first thought it was a troll. Anyways, moving on. Next question on what was you on what and how. What got you guys into Borderlands? Like not streaming this time, but like why, how or why did you pick up your first Borderlands game?
So for me, I was heading home with a friend from school. This had been 2010-ish. And again, my dad handed me and my friend a stack of 5 games that a friend had given us, and only one of them had co-op. So we played that one. Happened to be Borderlands, and it was one of the first RPG-esque shooters that we'd ever played. It was one of the first of the time, actually. And we just fell in love with it immediately and just played it from there.
This is going to sound crazy, but initially, when I was first introduced to Borderlands, I actually did not like Borderlands at all.
Heresy.
A friend of mine was playing it in late 2009 when it first released. He was all over that, and he tried to introduce it to me. Did not like it at all. Tried the co-op experience, was not for me. I saw it on sale at a local EB Games for like half off or something. And I said, you know what, we're going to try it one more time. I'm going to try it for the solo experience and see what I think of it and give its proper like judgment from there. I have not put it down since.
Amazing.
Okay, Bflattened, you mentioned about the BL freehand, the BL hunt generally, the challenge, and I know that the new hunt is coming over in March for Jolsdude. So, what are you most excited about for the upcoming hunt? Because I'm assuming you're both gonna participate in it.
Yeah, for me, the most exciting thing is more of just the event itself, just the community getting together on one big race, and just all that side of it is what I'm excited for. The actual route itself for the hunt doesn't really have me excited compared to BL2, to be 100% honest. But the event itself is cool, thanks to Jolt for hosting it. So, just the whole community side is what I'm looking forward to.
There's a lot that I am excited for. So I entered only one hunt so far, and it was the final hunt of Borderlands 2 back in 2019. I wanted to dedicate as much time as I could to it. However, the very first night of the hunt, I had a power outage and I could not play. And then the following 4 days, I was working like 50, 60-hour weeks, so I could not dedicate any time to it. Um, Aside from community and everyone just getting together on one solid week, you know, a couple thousand people or whatever it's going to end up being, my most excited moment for this is actually being able to dedicate a solid full schedule to it and just to be able to challenge myself in that. Um, but of course, the most important is community and, of course, hopefully breaking records for St. Jude's Hospital because that is the ultimate goal for it.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about your favorites in the game. So I'm gonna ask one of the questions we have prepared for that. So, what is your favorite non-unique gun and why?
Oh, that one's really, really easy. That's the double anarchy from Borderlands 1. That's
Oh
easy.
man.
Double anarchy.
Okay, so give us like reason for that. I mean, everybody knows that, but maybe you have other view on that than others.
It's because it did so much damage, and you could just play so aggressively with it. Pairing it on, say, Lilith, you just hold W running at enemies, just mowing them down. It was just a really aggressive gun that rewarded you being closer, which worked well with Lilith's skills, her movement, her survivability, her ability to face tank despite not having lifesteal. It just worked hand in hand in it. Just a lot of fun.
I feel a little scattered on this because I really enjoy mashers, but at the same time I enjoy Borderlands 2 shotguns. But at the same time, I enjoy like Jacob snipers, like the Muck a Muck. There's so many to choose from, but I think ultimately it would be mashers.
Mash is a good choice. They feel
Two
so
two
good.
BL answers there.
Wait, pardon?
Two BL1 answers there.
Yeah,
But both
There's one answer again.
shows
Yeah.
a lot about the current state
Yeah.
of the game if you go back to Borderlands 1 for guns.
Yeah. Like as someone like personally as someone who has like played Borderlands 1 long after this come out, I've played it first time with Game of the Year. You really have to like grow and like the game. You just don't like it at first because it's just so mundane. But it has a few things, a few details that just makes it special. And then this starts at like playing Lilith or any of the other classes that aren't even remotely as good, and up to meshes and everything. It's kind of amazing to hear how often we've heard like Borderlands 1 things at this point. And moving on, like from with favorites, and this time also least favorites. I would like to know from both of you, what is your most and least favorite part of Borderlands as the franchise? But you can also just say Borderlands 3 at the moment, like maybe easier.
I'll let you lead with that one, B-Flat.
Oh no. You don't get to take an answer of mine this time. Yes. Most and least favorite?
Huzzah!
Oh god. I would say I'm going to be sticking to Borderlands 3 on my first answer at least. Um, I really enjoy how pets are. I know they're not at the point that they should be. I know they aren't at the point that they should be, and there's a lot of work to be done still. But I've always been a pet build fan, um, and I think that there's been vast improvements throughout the games. Like we talked about Bloodwing Mordecai, we talked about Wolf and Saint Wilhelm, and now we have Flack, who he is now. Um, I think that pets have been like going through the franchise and evolving as we go. I would just like to see more attention on that to make a true pet build. Um, and my least favorite is oh god. Oh lord. Um that's tough.
No one
Can I
seems
come
to
back
have
to that
an
actually?
Yeah, I can go.
We'll
Oh.
allow it. You
So-
go ahead.
Yeah, so my favorite part is going to be just the general gameplay, the gunplay. It's how I'm able to play the game so much, just because it's fun to play, it's satisfying. And then, of course, I know I'm saying two things here, but just their general boss design. I really like Borderlands bosses, from Wotan to Hyperius to Anathema was very fun. First time I enjoyed that one. The music on those bosses as well. And Vorak. Vorak was definitely a favorite of mine. So yeah, just those big bosses and the gameplay and fighting them I enjoyed a lot. In terms of the thing that I dislike the most, probably it's hard to pick something out from the older games, and even this one because it's so good. But just the general bugginess right now, lots of things just not working right, not working at all, and the lack of endgame content. So just kind of that area of BL3 is the bit I dislike the most.
I see. Okay, yeah, I have a question for you. Unless you've chosen your least like.
Hey, I mean,
I have
yeah.
found my least favorite.
Yeah,
I had to
hit
visit
us.
all the games in the. I had to visit every single Borderlands game in the last 30 seconds or so, so that was tough. Um, I would just say overall scaling. I didn't really think that scaling was ever at an amazing high point in either of the games. Talking 1, 2, and 3. Um, I didn't really like Borderlands 2 Slag scaling. I didn't like the OP scaling. Um, Borderlands 3 Mayhem scaling has been kind of shifty back and forth. Um, Borderlands 1, I don't know, it just seemed kind of plain to me, but I'm glad that they've improved on it at least. But yeah, just overall scaling in general.
Nice. Okay, I have another question for you, Bflattened. So, if we talk about the design of the game, what would you have done different? If you were the one to design the arms race, what would you change about it?
Okay, so I'm probably this is probably where I die on this hill as soon as I mention this, but let me explain, I swear. I'm gonna start off by saying
I'm looking.
it's gonna be bad when I first say it, but let me explain.
You're good.
I'm gonna go all the way back to Call of Duty Ghosts. So Call of Duty Ghosts had this game mode called Extinction. Extinction was kind of a work on the Horde of Zombies mode. I think that there's a few cool factors that they could have taken over from this kind of feature. Things like challenges, getting rewarded for challenges so that you don't just pick up a TD or an arms race and just face roll everything. Like an incentive to do challenges, kill 25 enemies with an assault rifle. You don't really get a TD or option in that. Um, things along those lines. Um, there could be incentives, as in like getting really minor perks, not like Ties That Bind or Iron Bear perks, but minor perks such as like you take less damage in the Murder Cane. You can regenerate health over time. Something like minor, nothing overpowered. Um, you can earn this through a type of currency that's exclusive to Arms Race. For the heck of it, let's call that Explodios from Torg, because why not? You could do sort of like starting um, hordes in the sense of based off Extinction, they used a drill for these hives. You could do the same thing for Tannis. Use a type of drill for Iridium. You can also set it up for Borderlands 4 with like dialogue and stuff like that. I'm sure that Tannis would probably make some sort of mention to some sort of Iridium and science experiment, but I think that's kind of what I would throw in on top of what we have already. It's weird, I know, but that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay, I mean, chat. I think this decided already what they think about this.
I did not see yet,
The-
and I'm very, very concerned.
The chat started to come around a bit, so you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say though, I was hella surprised to ever hear Call of Duty Ghosts being mentioned ever again in this timeline.
Especially in a
Ever.
positive light.
Like, yeah, especially in a positive light. Like, I played that game, and I actually have this one achievement where we actually finished one extinction run, and it's on my Steam profile as one of the rarest achievements you can get. With only like 0.1% of people that had the game actually getting it. It's like, wow. It's like this game did not age well, and it's so amazing to hear it being mentioned because it kicks me right in the face with all the nostalgia, even more than if you mentioned Black Ops 2, because Black Ops 2 is always mentioned.
Should probably clarify, I'm not a Call of Duty fan. I just think that that specific thing has some
Oh yeah, definitely,
good things with it.
Okay,
definitely.
fair. Okay, you're excused then. Lazy, I have a question for you. It's gonna be a tricky one because I'm about to ask you, what's your favorite gun to use on Amara? And actual gun, not Facepuncher.
There are other
that-
guns.
Hellwalker, of course.
I know that shocked you, but yeah, except for Facepuncher.
Yeah, Hellwalker, of course. She's got insane accuracy and handling, so she just gets the super long range, tight spread. She's got very good crit bonuses, and Indiscriminate exists. So you just go around one tapping everyone, like actually able to do that with a Hellwalker. So, Hellwalker.
Yeah, is B gonna answer, or was this just for Lazy?
It was just for
Oh, I
Just for
guess he
Lazy,
doesn't play
okay.
Amara. Huh.
I do play
Okay.
Amara, just not to the level of LazyData.
Just name a gun, any gun. It's okay.
Just name a gun, any gun.
We love you.
Hellwalker,
That's
fine.
not the Hellwalker. Just name the Hellwalker.
Say Dark Army.
I actually really enjoy the Dark Army. It's really good.
Yeah, I love it. It's amazing.
Mm,
It gives me the whole
I have to
TO
choose a
power
gun that's not
fantasy.
the Facepuncher on Amara. I don't know. I've been on a really big Breath of the Dying and Teos kick recently, so I'm just gonna throw those in there.
Oh, the Breath of the Dying is very cool. But moving away from Borderlands 3, yuck, bad game. Nah, just kidding. Like one very interesting question because it's been in the news for past couple days. What do you guys think about the upcoming Borderlands movie? What are your expectations? What are your predictions? What do you think about Kevin Hart as Roland? I want to hear it.
For me, the Borderlands movie, I know it's not going to have any kind of ounce of seriousness to the current Borderlands lore or
No.
anything. So I'm just going to go in fully open-minded, expecting silly fun. I think the director even said he wanted to get cosplayers on it just so he could kill them on, not obviously not actually, but it's just going to be a silly laugh. Not going to go in expecting anything serious at all, and just going to enjoy it.
So you think it's gonna be like a trash tier fun movie that's
Yeah.
just that you just gonna watch for laughs?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I enjoyed the Resident Evil movies.
Oh my god.
I need to I need to see the Monster Hunter one. I know that one is a bit of a dumpster fire, so I need to see that one. But I don't mind them. I don't mind them. I actually quite like silly movies like that.
And what about you, Flatten?
I think that going off of what LazyData said, this is not going to be following any sort of like timeline in the game. So at least if it ends up being C, D tier or ignore tier, it's not going to ruin the games in any way, shape, or form. But going into it open-minded, I think that Kevin Hart actually has a pretty good shot at Roland, considering Borderlands 1 Roland actually had some personality to him. And there's a little bit of lightheartedness. It wasn't until 2 is where he became like a really stone-faced kind of no personality kind of person. I also think that this is a shot for Kevin Hart to not just be the token comedian, silly short guy from every single set that he's ever had. To make up for the casting, because obviously the casting seems some shaky times, you could actually cast Dave Bautista, wrestler, guy in Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, as Brick, and putting them side by side, yeah, you can kind of see that Brick is going to be completely stealing Kevin Hart, which is fairly close to what the games would be. I think it's going to be fun though.
Yeah, I personally think like with all the prestigious names that are gonna pull in there, like I'm almost like convinced that it just will pull it's like some well-known name, like let's say Elijah Wood, and just put him as some random psycho in there. That it just that particularly gets killed just to be silly. Like just money, just throw it out, get the people. But yeah, like Borderlands movie, it's gonna be interesting to see what actually comes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Talking also what comes out of it in the near future of Borderlands 3. I was wondering what you guys think would the what you think about like Takedown and what you would like the next Takedown theme to be. Like we had the Guardian, we had the Malevolon. What's your pick? You get to choose.
So I really want a COV one because I'm just a bit insane like that. I want anointed enemies. I just want the maximum difficulty they can offer through COV. I wanted a takedown level COV enemies. They're of course harder than say Fervor or Anvil. And I want a setting that's maybe a bit larger, electricity, like a really open where you got to go to different parts of the city to do different things to like open a door at the end to access the Anointed Militant, the Invincible, of course. And yeah, that's the kind of direction I want to go for the next Takedown. Something just brutally difficult and COV, because the design of COV enemies, you can basically do anything, especially with anointed enemies. And Electricity is just a really pretty map, and I want more of it.
I've actually talked about this several times. I think that a TDR takedown would be fun. TDR was actually made fun of throughout the main story of the game, Katagawa Jr. namely. I think that having TDR get their revenge in the form of a takedown would be impressive. With the death of Katagawa Jr., I feel like TDR actually has an opportunity to make a name for themselves. You can even throw in Malawan in there, as in you can sort of throw a rivalry between the two, and you can fight both Malawan and TDR. At the very end, give me a giant gun, guns with leg boss. Like how
Oh
Roach
man.
is, but with its own sort of like mechanics to it as well. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I
would
think
it
would
would
be
it
sorry, you go ahead.
would it yell memes at you, like scream yeet when it fires?
I would love it to stream sort of Bane related voice lines at me. Yeet. I wanted to
Here
insult me.
come
I
that
wanted
boy.
to come back.
Honestly, two things I'd love to see with that is like, first of all, what if TDR employees also throw the weapons at you?
Yes.
So
That'd be
just like
great.
you don't see it coming and they're just like throwing the thing at you and explodes.
Homing
And
Merv.
like, what
Homing
if like
Merv,
the
yeah.
big gun and the big gun you're employed to stop, you actually get hired by TDR to go in there, and like the big gun you're employed to stop is just it's like GLaDOS from Portal. It's just so sophisticated, and they're like, hey, Vault Hunter, we need this thing dead. It's like too smart. It throws guns at us. Please help.
When the Teen Fire Plus Plus is against you.
Yeah.
I think TDR would be really cool, like the most criticized company and brand, and there's a reason for that in the whole game, and they're like getting revenge on everyone. That would be something I would like to see in the game as well. Like, give them some life, give them some more lore and some context of why they became such a quite powerful manufacturer from being known as the most trashy one, at least lore wise, not gun wise. So we talk about guns, manufacturers. I have a question for you guys. So if you were to be hired by one of the manufacturer and work for them as anyone you want, which manufacturer would you want to work for?
Oh lordy. That's a difficult one.
Yeah, think of the benefits from the company.
Uh Jacobs? They seem like, at the moment, outside of the whole bounty of blood thing, the least evil, the least likely to get shot at by a vault hunter. That's a pretty good benefit.
Yeah, that's true. And for you, Flatten?
Lazy stole my answer again. It is Jacobs.
I
Fine. I'll
promise
say
to ask you
mansion.
first. Ironically.
Jacobs has a mansion. Their voice lines are hilarious. You know, meet them with the business end at the end of a Jacob shotgun. They don't really have any family rivalry going on, seeing as we killed the sister off. Least likely to get shot at by a Vault Hunter, and yeah, I guess the whole whiskey around a bonfire also sounds pretty nice.
Okay, so I have a question here that you cannot steal from each other answers for, which is where did your nickname and your profile picture and like your whole theme came from? It's a question for both. Yeah.
Okay. So my name was page 30 odd of Xbox Live generated names when I first got Xbox Live quite a few years ago. And yeah, I just saw it, liked it, stuck with it, never changed. As a profile picture, not really a story. I just pick pictures I like, rotate through them, and then stick with the ones that I just people start recognizing me by. So, hi, yes, no real story behind the picture.
Well, Lazy stole my answer again. No.
God damn it, guys!
Make it easier for you.
Bflattened is a combination of a few things. The B flat portion is for my love of music. I really do enjoy it. Concert B flat, if you've never heard it before, is an amazing sound, and a lot of songs that I also enjoy are also in the key of B flat. The flattened part came from a phrase when I was actually playing a lot of PvP shooters way back in the day, things like Call of Duty and Halo, and I hate to mention Call of Duty again, but things that I would say are things like every 12-year-old on Xbox would say, get flattened, be flattened, things like that. So I kind of just combined the two together. As for the profile picture, DJing is something that I've been into recently. I've done conventions, I've done bar gigs, club gigs, and it is headphones over top of different sort of audio levels going up and down with just my name across the two headphones.
I mean, we were just joking about like how you guys stole each other's answers, but I think we actually had one episode where like both of the streamer names were based on like their actual names or something. So like there was actually a case where both had the same answer. That was amazing. So my next question, yeah, it's gonna be like, since we already talked about like manufacturers and everything, I would like you to rate the manufacturers in your opinion on a scale of evil to nice. So which one do you think is the evilest? Which one do you think is nicest? And who's more like in between?
Is anyone not evil in the Borderlands universe?
Your pick.
Well,
Capitalism, baby.
I suppose Hyperion has to be in there as one of the more evil side. Like, it was taken off by Jack, and then as we saw in the pre-sequel, everyone behind Jack just wants to be Jack again. So I think they take number one. Malawan, of course, close behind, in my opinion, especially on the weapon trailers in Borderlands 2. They were talking about how murder was an art form, and that's pretty messed up. And I love it, so they're close. And then COV without a leader, are they evil? Probably. I'll keep
More like
themselves at
chaotic.
least. Yeah, it was chaotic is there. Tedior, they're evil. They're either the nicest or the most evil. I don't think there's an in-between with Tedior. It's just one extreme or the other. And then Vladov, there's kind of bastards. And then Jacobs. SNS are the nicest. I'm going with SNS as the nicest. They just make useful things, like lost loot machines and loot beams.
Wholesome.
Oh man, this is tough because it really depends on the game. They've really had a lot of shift coming from Borderlands 1 to 3, like Atlas, for example. Good God. I think the nicest would probably be right now, I would say Atlas. SNS also didn't really do anything, so that's also a good answer. Most evil would probably be the rotation of Bandit to COV / Hyperion / Malawan. They're kind of all fighting for top spot at the moment. COV is kind of just psychotic cult followers with the twins at the top. Hyperion was just let's supercharge a Volkey 2 and blow up Pandora. But as Hyperion says in Borderlands 3, we're not the bad guys in this one. Well, it was a death sequence from the revive station. Either way, that was a voice line. I think Vladov is actually in the middle. I don't really think that they've actually leaned or done any evil things between. They haven't done anything to be super evil or super nice, and I think Jacobs is also kind of leaning on the nicer side because they've proven that many times. But they can also lean middle a little bit as well because they have the money to do pretty much anything they want if they want to turn at any point. Am I missing any manufacturers?
I
don't know
mean,
if I
none of
missed
you have
any.
mentioned Anshin yet.
Nah, Anshin. Pure
Pearl.
Shields.
Pangolin, I mean.
Pangolin. Pure Shields.
Mm.
Haven't really done anything. That's a good point too. That's tough.
I mean, how are you gonna like reach world domination with shields? They can only.
Good point. There's no actual offense to them.
Unless you go Nova
But a good
Shields all
defense
the
is great
time, you know?
offense, I guess.
Oh yeah, Nova shields.
Yeah.
Damn.
World domination by Nova Shields. Just running at every enemy and exploding on him every time. That's one way to do it.
Got me there. Well, moving on. This is a question that I've really liked. We've asked this one before, but like not in here, like a different stream. But like, if you guys died right now on the spot, you got shot by a wall, and yeah, oh no, and you had a loot explosion, of like items that describe you the best. Like, what would it contain?
Cake, tea, pizza, and then spaghetti. Yeah, spaghetti.
Any particular weapons?
Any particular guns? I would drop car parts. I like cars.
Oh,
So I would improve your sought after upgrades to your vehicles in Borderlands.
Scooter?
Self-car and a party set for a birthday. Perfect.
A loot explosion. I would probably say the first thing that comes to mind is whiskey. I really like Crown Royal. But if it came to weapons, it would probably be a hockey stick because I'm Canadian and I've played hockey for a number of years. I think those would be my top two. Is there an equivalent for not sleeping? Because I would throw that in there. Caffeine.
Like either caffeine or like cosmetic eyeshadows, maybe.
We'll go with both.
Or icons or concealer.
We'll go with both. Why not?
Right.
But caffeine.
Okay, so you guys probably get a lot of questions about, even here right now, what's the best gun, best build, best Vault Hunter for this, for that. I'm gonna ask you some less conventional question. Which is your favorite Vault Hunter according to visuals? How they look like? How are their characters designed visually?
Ooh. It's just good things to say about all four of them. Unless we're thinking other games as well.
Yeah, sure. Like whichever Vault Hunter was most nicely designed. Like you like the most.
Oh, I'd say that's a very difficult one to take. I've always liked the fiery angel wings on the sirens. Of course, Amara's fists as well. Oh, but I might just end up going back around to, sorry for still your answer here, Wilhelm, because of the whole augments on his on his arms and legs, and said with how it adapts with the skill tree. I would probably just end up saying either the sirens or Wilhelm.
Well, now that I can't say Wilhelm anymore,
you can say
Next
Wilhelm.
question I'm asking you first, and then Lazy gonna copy from the answer. Don't worry.
Visually designed, I would probably say, if I can't say Wilhelm, I would probably say Krieg. I know he was shirtless and he had like a 10-pack and goddamn, but I think the visuals and the details on like his mask were actually very, very impressive to me, to the point that I would probably pick him first. I ended up actually trying to cosplay as Krieg one year, and just the mask details by itself are so intricate. and you really have to like get a good zoom in on that just to be able to appreciate it more, I think.
I see. Well, you mentioned cosplay of Krieg. I actually had this question here. If you could cosplay one of the characters from the Borderlands, who would it be? So I assume here is a Krieg for you.
Yeah, I would have to stick with Krieg.
Lazy, who would you cosplay if you could?
Do I get to pick Moe's because I got a giant mech suit? Like, could I have a functioning mech suit? Because
Can you
if I
build
build a function, if building a functional mech suit was realistic, then I would probably say Moe's. Otherwise, maybe Troy.
People have done it before. I mean,
Why not?
Otherwise, maybe Troy for like the giant sword, the robotic arm, cool coat.
Again, a mechanic part on your body, yeah, but that arm would be cool to cosplay. Okay, so questions to you both, and I'm gonna start with Bflattened this time. So which character from older series didn't show up in Borderlands 3 yet, and you would like to see?
I'm gonna make everyone sad.
there
Scooter.
aren't many left.
Oh,
I really want to see Scooter. I really like him, but
I'm sad.
I think one of the more popular answers that we haven't seen yet is probably Fiona. I feel like characters to transfer over from Tails, even though I wasn't a big fan of Tails, could probably make a good shining role in Borderlands 3. And we haven't seen a lot of Tails love besides, a couple characters here and there. The rest have already made an appearance.
Yeah, true. I mean, we also didn't see Gortys or Loaderbot from the Tales, so there is a couple characters.
We also didn't see a lot of people from the pre-sequel, actually.
We only have
Timothy.
We know Timothy and
yeah, go on.
Ice Queen is dead.
Oh yeah, right.
I think that's really about it.
Crazy Arrow, maybe.
For me, you almost stole my answer, but no. Zed for me. I know there's legitimate real life reasons why he can't be in Borderlands 3 at the moment. But we all love Zed. We want him back. Zed. For sure.
Get your medical degree, Zed, please.
But like, what about like his evil brother Ned? Is he also?
Or Ted.
What about
Ted? Would also be great.
I still remember the theories around DLC 4 with it being Ted as the Doctor. I think that would have been pretty cool.
Not again.
It's happened a lot, but I thought that was going to be a pretty cool twist if that was a thing.
All right. Now, like, as we're edging to the end, I'm gonna ask like a few more questions about like balance, because we all love to talk about balance, don't we? Like the easiest one. The easiest one. Do you think they should add a way for players to swap anointment on their gear? And if so, how? And hard mode would be no iridium. You can't say just use iridium. We have enough.
Just use iridium.
Yeah. Okay, he's taking the easy mode. Okay, man.
No. So for me, the main thing that I dislike about the anoint system is how much inventory space it takes. If I want like a firelight show that covers 3 action skills, I end up with 12 light shows. So I think if you were to just go into your inspect screen and then you just have a list, like a drop down list that listed all of the anoints, you selected the one that you want. I think that'd just be the simplest way for me. Just you could put a currency behind it, make it so you have to find the anoint out in the world to slot in like a gem slot. But yeah, just slotting it in on the inspect screen for me to swap anoints about. The guns are already part dependent enough to be RNG, so.
Swapping annoyance, I'm gonna go on the other side this time, and I'm gonna say no. I don't think swapping annoyance at free will and or currency is a good idea. I think that would eliminate half the point of the game, which is loot, and slotting in gemstones and being able to have free will of just swapping them would kind of kill down farming a little bit. So yeah, I don't think swapping annoyance is a good idea. I think your counter to that is actually just cleaning up the annoyance, because there's still a phase 2 purge that would actually be a pretty good idea. 40% iridium on action skilling, for example, and many others.
So like your stance is actually like instead of like spacing the anoints out like they did it right now to have like a single anoint for each kind of the skill trees, instead it should just like unify them
Condense
again.
them. Yeah.
So like and condense them in like a few less. But don't you think this was the issue of like the 390 anoints or the URAD anoints would still persist?
They of course would, but I think just condensing the anoints in general just makes the whole system smoother, easier to deal with, less frustrating. And while of course 300 over 90 will of course be best for one-shotting, condensing anoints together would bring them more up if they had, say, for example, airborne and sliding anoints. I know they were removed, but if all the airborne and all the sliding anoints were just condensed into one, then that would have been really, really strong, especially for Zane. So that would have had its own place in the meta. Individually, not so much. Sorry, but altogether, would have been actually pretty good.
Okay, I think that's gonna wrap up our interview for today. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you want to do some shoutouts or like tell us where we can find you guys, we're gonna start with Bflattened.
Well, I guess I would have to firstly name my entire community directly. If it wasn't for them, I would not be sitting down here. And that's ultimately just the biggest thing, is that if I had nobody behind me, I'm not a person, I'm not a content creator or anything. So that would definitely go out to them directly. They know who they are. There's a few in here as well. If you don't know who I am, Bflat official or Bflat, and I'm pretty much all social medias, and Borderlands 3 is pretty much all I focus on, end game builds and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. And Lazy?
Well, for me, I'd like to just say thank you to both of you and everyone here for hosting this this podcast here. That's thank you for that one. And then thank you to everyone in the Borderlands community, both still active and people who have maybe fallen off. Just everyone who I've known throughout, say, the old time trial community, Dizzy, Striker, and all, and Bar and Gathalion originally. Thank you for just building this wonderful community, and that everyone else has come in and just taken forward. And even though this game has gone through some rough patches, the game is always, mostly relevant and talked about. And just thank you.
Okay, thank you. It was lovely to have you here.
Thank you for coming, definitely.
For those who missed it or will like come over halfway through, we're gonna upload the video soon on our YouTube channel, and we're gonna post the link on the Twitter and on our server news. So thank you for tonight, and see you guys in 2 weeks. We have a Valentine's special episode in 2 weeks, and I hope I'm gonna see you there then when it happens. Yeah. So thank you again, and bye guys. Thanks.
Bye.